200 fallen angels didn't just descend from the heavens, they impacted. And those enormous, gaping craters you see all over Earth's surface? The official story says they're from meteors, but what if that's not the whole truth? What if those scars aren't from random space rocks, but are the physical evidence of their arrival? You've been taught your whole life that these are impact craters from asteroids and comets. It's the standard geological explanation, and for many, it makes perfect sense. But what if we've been looking at the evidence with the wrong framework? What if these are the impact sites of something far more ancient, far more deliberate? Scars left behind from a celestial war, a rebellion so catastrophic that its echoes are still etched into the very crust of our planet. The most unsettling part, when you start to connect the dots, the numbers seem to match up in a way that's hard to ignore. Let's turn to the pages of history, to texts that are thousands of years old. The ancient Book of Enoch, a text excluded from most mainstream canons, speaks of 200 beings, known as the Watchers. These were angels, celestial guardians, who were meant to observe humanity, but they didn't just observe. The text says they descended to Earth in a pact of rebellion, led by a figure named Samyaza. Now, think about the language used. They descended in rebellion. Rebellion is an active force of defiance. When something that powerful, something not of this world, falls from a great height, it doesn't just float down on a cloud. It doesn't land softly, it strikes. It creates an impact, a violent and sudden collision that would reshape the very ground it hits. The story isn't about a gentle arrival. It's about a cataclysmic fall from grace. Now, let's look at the evidence with our own eyes. Consider these formations. We see them in Arizona, in the vast deserts of Mauritania, across India, and even in the remote wilderness of Canada. They are perfectly circular, unbelievably massive, and radiate an aura of immense, ancient violence. Geologists study their structure, their melt rock, and their shock quartz. But there's a question that rarely gets asked in mainstream science. Why are so many of them positioned in strange patterns and clusters across the globe? If these were truly random meteor strikes over billions of years, you would expect a completely chaotic distribution. Instead, we find groupings and alignments that seem almost intentional. It's as if something arrived, not as a single event, but as a coordinated, widespread arrival. This is where it gets even more strange. If meteors, specifically iron or stony meteorites, caused all of these craters, where are the consistent debris trails we'd expect to find? Why don't we find matching metallic remnants at every single site, confirming their origin? Some have them, but many don't. And more importantly, why do so many ancient cultures, separated by thousands of miles and thousands of years, have stories that describe fire beings falling from the sky? These myths and legends, from indigenous American lore to ancient Mesopotamian texts, often pinpoint the exact locations where these craters are found. They don't talk about rocks, they talk about beings of fire and light crashing into the earth. Let's put the scientific and the mythological side by side. The ancient texts describe thunderous impacts that shook the world. They talk about mountains trembling, the earth splitting open, and smoke rising to the heavens. They describe fire raining down from the sky. Does that sound like the soft flutter of wings? Or does that sound like a high-velocity, kinetic impact? It sounds like force. It sounds like a bombardment. It's the language of warfare, not of gentle angelic visitation. So, here's the thought that will keep you up at night. What if the term fallen wasn't just symbolic? What if it was literal? What if these beings physically fell, crashing into our planet with enough force to scar it permanently? What if the war in heaven wasn't just a theological concept, but a physical event that left behind geological evidence? What if the ground we've been walking on, the very continents we inhabit, are part of the battlefield? Now, I know what you're thinking. Scientists have studied these craters for decades. They've found evidence of extraterrestrial material, like iridium, which is rare on Earth but common in asteroids. And yes, that's absolutely true. Many of these sites do contain material that is not from this planet. But think about it for a second. What would a fallen celestial being be made of? By definition, they would be extraterrestrial. They would be not of Earth. So, finding non-terrestrial materials at an impact site doesn't automatically mean it was a lifeless rock. It could just as easily be evidence of a being from another realm. The evidence fits both theories. So what are we left with? We have the ancient account of 200 rebellious angels. We have hundreds of massive, circular impact scars dotting the planet. We have widespread ancient myths describing fiery beings falling from the sky at those same locations. And we have a planet marked by these perfect, violent wounds. Is it all just a massive, planet-sized coincidence? Or are we still living in the aftermath, staring at the scars left from the day heaven literally hit Earth? Look at the images of these craters again, but this time, don't see them as accidents of cosmic chance. See them as battle scars. Does it change the way you see our world? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey down the rabbit hole, make sure to like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.